Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Hafiza Adiana binti Muhammad Azlan. So I choose a demand draft for my individual assignment. What is a demand draft? Demand draft is a negotiable instrument similar to a bill of exchange where a bank issues a demand draft to a client, which is we call it a drawer, directing another bank or one of its own branches to pay a certain sum to the specified party, and we call it a demand draft. Can also be compared to a form of check. Unlike banker's check, demand draft is issued for a beneficiary who may residing in another town or another country. Demand draft can only be made payable to a specified party, also known as a pay to order. But the check can also be made payable to the bearer. In United States, remotely created checks are also called demand draft. Remotely created checks are orders of payment created by the payee and authorized by the customer remotely using a telephone or MICR code from a valid check. This is how demand draft looks like. The main purpose of demand draft are hospital expenses, university fee, education expenses, immigrations, family remittance, and demand draft have two types, which is the first one is side demand draft and the second one is a time demand draft. A side demand draft is payable immediately and it is often used when purchasing goods internationally. For example, when a seller ships goods to a buyer, the seller still processes the title of the goods until the buyer receives the goods. The buyer can use a side demand draft to transfer funds to the seller instantly. So, the seller can immediately transfer the title of goods to buyer. And a second is time demand draft. A time demand draft is payable only after a specific period of time, and before that, it cannot be drawn from the bank. In international trade, some exporters and importers may prefer to use a time demand draft. For example, an importer issues a time demand draft to the exporter, but payment in full can only be made 15 days after the arrival of the shipment of goods. Next, we go to the characteristic of a demand draft. The first one is it is issued by the bank to the another banks. And then, it is considered to be a prepaid negotiable instrument because the money is taken from drawer's account when it is issued. Therefore, when the payee cashes it out, it will not bounce due to insufficient funds since the payment is already made by the drawer. As a result, it is more secure and comes with less risk compared to a check. Next, it is only payable to the payee written on the demand draft and it is payable on demand. It means that the payee can immediately be paid the specified amount and cannot be stopped from payment once he or she presents it to the bank to be cashed out. So, what is the process to cancel the demand draft? Firstly, if you want to cancel the demand draft, you need to write an application address to the bank from where you have obtained the demand draft, asking for cancellation of the demand draft, saying that the purpose for which the demand draft was obtained could not be saved. Second, you need to write on the reserve of the demand draft, receive payment by cancellation of the draft. Please credit the proceeds of the draft to my account number maintained at your bank. Affix on the revenue stamp below the above writing and sign over the stamp. Then, attach the demand draft to your above referred application and deliver the same to the said bank. Lastly, your request will be attended to the same day and your account will be credited with the proceeds of the demand draft cancellation. The bank will collect a nominal service charge from you for the said transaction of cancellation of the demand draft. The cancellation or repurchase of outward foreign demand draft for Malayan Banking Berhad, you need to pay RM10 plus the cost of wire if it is applicable. So, I will share with you all the safety regulation when you want to use the demand draft. Since the use of signature is not required and issuance can be done remotely, such as phone, fax, and online. It is susceptible to fraud as scammers only need to know your bank account information in order to debit your account. However, banks will deny an authorized demand draft if they detect suspicious activity. Depending on bank and the country you are in, you are given approximately 90 days from the time to demand draft is deposited to the payee's account to dispute this transaction. There may also be regulation to govern your safety depending on your location. For example, the United States Federal Reserve issued a regulation that shifts the liability for loss from the drawer's bank to the payee's bank. As a result, it helps the drawer to avoid paying for fraudulent demand draft. The outward demand draft for foreign currency drawn on foreign bank. For my financial institution, I choose Malayan Banking Berhad. We have two types, which is the first one is CRS and the second one is non-CRS. CRS means Citicorp Remittance Service. Okay, firstly under CRS, draft amount equivalent to RM5,000 and below. The rate for this one is RM7 per item. Meanwhile, the second one is RM5 per item when the draft amount equivalent to above 5,000. It is cheaper than the first one because it is used the agent charge. Next, for non-Citicorp remittance service, under Malayan Banking Berhad, we have three categories. Firstly, the draft amount equivalent to RM5,000 and below. The rate for this one is RM2 per item. Secondly, there is no charge for the draft amount equivalent to above RM5,000. Lastly, the draft drawn in Thailand, Indian and Indonesian have an additional RM10 for the cost of cable. That's all from me. Thank you for watching.